Hello! Today we have a Pixel 6 and we're going to try a battery replacement. These screens are absurdly expensive for whatever reason, so I'm going to do my best not to break it. I'm going to show you how. My battery smells really weird. Part of me likes it, part of me doesn't. I don't know. Comment below. Do you like that battery smell? And then also I'm going to sort of include a quick little snippet here, but as you can see, you know, this is your spudger. This is literally how much room you get. This is how thick the bezel is. And this is how much room you get before you touch this, and then you could basically ruin the whole screen. So obviously be very gentle, especially down here, which is where sort of the rubber meets the road, where the flex cable and everything is. Well, without further ado, let's get to it. So I'm going to use a combination of a couple of different things. I'm going to use a pry tool. I'm going to try to use this as much as possible, which is basically I just cut out a piece of plastic from, the clamshell. You're basically trying to avoid using metal. These are OLEDs. They break very easily. Ask me how I know. We're going to use, there's an iPad on there right now, but there is a heat plate. So we're going to try to use that for a little bit. And then we're also going to use some isopropyl alcohol. And I'm at a bit of an advantage because the battery is swollen. So it's sort of done the hard part. But I'm going to see if I can't do this from your perspective. Which I guess, honestly, I'm getting away with this right now. But I would suggest using some isopropyl alcohol. I use, like I said, 99%. Yeah, and we're kind of already in. As you can see, you really don't want to get this thing in very far. Now, yours might be a little bit more effort to remove the screen, depending on how your gasket, how strong your gasket is. Yeah, if I remember correctly, your flex on this model, you can see it, is right there. You don't get a ton of wiggle room. So at least at this point, the top is off. So I'm just going to proceed with the bottom. Once again, you really don't want this thing in there very far. So I'm using a wiggle technique. And I'm also look at that. All right, cool. So here's the first glance. Yeah, we next have a Torx. I honestly have no idea which one it is. So I'm going to try a couple of different ones. So we're using a Torx 4, and it is entirely unnecessary to remove this Torx 4 at this moment. We just need to remove that bracket to remove the screen. I really hope the rest of these are 4s. So I guess in their infinite wisdom, they made this a clip. I noticed this the other day when I did a Pixel 7. I thought it was a tremendous. Now, on something like this, you want to avoid using metal tools. We then have, you can come in, I'm going to come in from this side. And we're just going to lift up ever so slightly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like I said, all the screws are the same size. As for these little pieces of tape, if you end up tearing them and you lose them, it's not that big of a deal, but it's not that difficult to pull them off. Generally, I try to get them on and then, or back off and then back on as close to OEM, but it is what it is. All right. Wow, look at that. So I guess this is a part of the Taptic engine. And they made this out of aluminum when they could have made it out of plastic. Look at that. So we always remove our battery first. which is that little guy. We can then remove our whatever this is. So if anyone is interested, I have a link for this in an Amazon store page, which is in the video description. I have this thing set to about 70. This is Celsius. I have no idea what it is in freedom units. But yeah, we're gonna leave it here for a few minutes. So after the phone is a little bit warmed up, I come in with a little bit more isopropyl alcohol. And then instead of lifting up on the board, I sort of use leverage in the form of the SIM tray. And the majority of the adhesive is along the bottom, like 20%. And you'll see here in just a sec, but once again, use a little bit more alcohol and then just lift up gently. This is where that battery smell is coming from. You just have a gaping freaking hole. But before I peel off my adhesive, I'm going to lay my battery in place, connect this flex, then come in with my screen. All right, there we go. That's annoying. All right, now we're going to try to power up. Look at that. There's a little bit of burn-in there. But that would have been there previously, not from opening the screen. So I'm using a combination of a chisel blade, which is a 17A, and then I'm using tweezers in some areas, and then I'm basically going up afterwards and using a swab and some isopropyl alcohol to clean it up. It helps along the ear speaker. You can just unclip the front camera so you don't accidentally sever that flex cable. But yeah, like on this area right here next to the volume buttons, it was kind of annoying to clear it up. And then obviously you want to be very careful wherever there is a flex cable. Like I said, just I unclipped this and I made it a lot easier. And then afterwards, clean up the frame. Now this is a bit nerve-wracking. You might want to avoid this because you could very easily slip and then puncture your screen, and then there goes a $130 screen. So or you could just use the flat side of a spudger. But yeah, just do what works best for you, but be very careful. Now, I don't think the device stands a chance, even if I used a genuine Google gasket, that it would be water resistant afterwards. And I'm just using this for a trade-in, so I'm using Tessa 61395. I think this stuff is like I'm almost positive it's 2 millimeter. But you just need, obviously a few pieces along the edges. I mean, I think you can get a gasket, but because of the adhesive that they use, this like foam stuff, it makes it so difficult to be able to properly remove it. Like I said, I just don't see how you would be able to make the phone water resistant afterwards. Comment if you think otherwise. No, I'm going to mention this ahead of time, but I'm going to connect my battery first before I lay it down. If you can, just get a good idea of placement, which here we have a pretty tight connector. And you want to just do it on one go. And hopefully I didn't mess up my screen when I was cleaning off all the adhesive. Now, generally that would come in the form of the entire thing just not working, or the touch, I don't know, being messed up, or this is such a dim screen. I was hoping to show this on a lighter screen, but everything is basically good. So once again, be very gentle with your screen. I'm then going to come and pull all my adhesive out. If you want, you could also use, I don't know, something like B7000 glue. And then from here, I don't really necessarily think there's a right or a wrong way. Like on some screens, on some iPhone screens, you have to seat the screen at the top. and then push it in, but there doesn't appear to be an order of operations. I'm going to put this on the heat plate for a little bit. And if you want to, you know, so the adhesive sort of sits properly, you can sort of, I don't know, like put a book on top of this or something, or a couple of books, and then leave it there until it cools down. Or you could just say, screw it, and you're good to go.